And let me say this clearly, buying a franchise is not a mistake, but buying the wrong franchise is the biggest mistake that you can make. So if you're thinking of buying a franchise, this video could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and dramatically impact your life over the next 5, 10, or 15 years. So in 2004, there were over 800,000 franchise businesses. That's just in the US. That's not even around the world. And the economic output of franchises in the US was over $897 billion. And then franchising employs over 8.8 million people. With those stats, everyone should own a franchise, right? No. If you're new here, my name is Tarek Johnson, and I was able to transition into full-time entrepreneurship after many failed businesses from owning multiple franchises in multiple states. And currently, I am the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, where we help individuals find, vet, and launch money-making franchises. All right, so back to the question, should you buy a franchise? And by the end of this video, you're gonna have a clear answer on whether that's the case for you, along with some pros and cons, so you can really decide on what's going to be the best fit for you, if you should buy a franchise, if you should start a business, if you should invest in real estate, if you should buy a business. There's so many options out there, and the best way to know and to have clarity is to understand the pros and the cons to be able to figure out what is right for you. All right, so did you know there's actually over 4,000 different franchise brands in the US alone? But here's the catch, is that about 80% of those brands suck, meaning there is not a proven track record of happy and profitable franchisees. Look, it's undeniable that people have built highly successful businesses and empires through owning franchises, and they've been able to increase the quality of their life, and some of them make their dreams come true. So really the first question that you need to ask before figuring out if you should buy a franchise is why? Why? What's got you looking into owning a franchise? Are you looking to create a full-time income? Is this something where you're just looking to create a side hustle? Is this something where it's really legacy driven for you, where your dream has been to be an entrepreneur? That was mine, really. I didn't really care about franchising. And franchising for me was just a means to an end. I had this dream to become a full-time entrepreneur, to be a successful entrepreneur. And I had 9 failed businesses over the course of 8 different years. And so what was clear is that trying to figure it out on my own was not working. But deep down inside of me, I knew that this was part of my purpose in life, was to be an entrepreneur. And the desire and the itch was not going to go away. So the question is, what is that for you? Is this something that's important and it's this burning fire inside of you to build a business? Or maybe this is just something where you've actually owned a business and you're trying to diversify. Your why behind the reason of why you're looking to buy a franchise will impact whether you should buy it or not. Here's an example. I was talking to someone the other day, a client that we're working with, and he said to me, Tarek, I want to go from being an earner to being an owner. And this guy's a very successful executive, makes hundreds of thousands of dollars in the corporate world, and is very accomplished. And he said to me, that the environment that I work in, it's toxic. I'm not happy anymore. I'm 53 years old. I've always wanted to own my own business, and now's the time. If I don't do it now, I probably never will. So if that's you, if you have that deep purpose and why, then owning a franchise could be a really great fit. And look, if you're someone who is looking to own a franchise and have it be more of a side hustle or try to create passive income from it, then stick around to the end of the video because I have some thoughts on that. So before we get into the pros and cons, we really got to understand, why do people buy franchises in the first place? Why would you buy a franchise and pay tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars in startup costs as opposed to just starting your own business? There's a few reasons. Number one is for the existing system and brand. When I bought my first franchise, the franchise brand was very well known where we lived in California. So we literally had people that were stopping from driving on the highway because you could see our store from the highway. And they would say, oh yeah, I saw you guys from the highway and I used to go to your locations in LA or San Diego. There was a recognizable brand that was already trusted. Another one is to not have to figure everything out on your own. Like when you buy a franchise, the whole point of buying a franchise is to not have to figure everything out. You're handed a playbook. It's like a business in a box, right? Think about if you go to IKEA or to any furniture store to buy a piece of furniture that you're going to put together on your own. Completely different than if someone were to go, I'm going to go in my garage, in my shop, and I'm gonna buy the wood and I'm gonna cut and create something of my own. Like you could do that. That's like starting a business from scratch, but some people don't want to have to figure all of that out. Just give me the pieces, give me the screws, give me the instructions, and I can put it together on my own. And that's one of the biggest benefits of a franchise. When I was opening my first franchise, I was able to get past some of the things that got me stuck when I was trying to start businesses on my own. I would get confused, I would get overwhelmed. Sometimes I would sit there for 30 minutes just feeling overwhelmed. Like, what do I even do right now? What do I focus on? How do I grow this business? Do I don't know, do I focus on the website? Do I focus on trying to get sales? Do I focus on making sure I got my processes dialed in? There was just so many things to think about. And the good thing about a franchise system is typically the franchisor is giving you the playbook. And not only do you know exactly what to do, but you know the sequence in which to do it. So that leads into our next point of why people buy franchises, which is for a support system. So one of the things that's unique about a franchise is that you literally have, depending upon the size of your franchise system, you have 10, 50, 100, 300 individuals all around the country, possibly the world, that run the exact same business that you do. So you're able to reach out and you have this community and this support system around you where if you have a question, if you're struggling with something, you can call a franchisee who's been in business for 5 or 10 years, who has already been there and done that, and will be able to give you advice and help and support. But most importantly, you have the franchisor. The franchisor has a vested interest in your success. Why? Because you're paying royalties, which we'll talk about later on when we talk about pros and cons. But the franchisor's success is dependent on you. If you fail, the franchisor fails. And so they have this vested interest to support you and help make sure that your business is successful. As an example, when I owned my franchise, I had some marketing ideas around doing some Saturday events and kind of a buy one, get one free deal with some of our products. And I kind of had this whole idea on how to structure it and how to market it. And so I reached out to my franchisor, I explained the idea, and I said, can you help me? They came up with all of the graphics and everything for the flyer. I just had to pay for the cost to get it printed, right? They helped me set it all up, send out email blasts to our loyalty members. Like they helped me with the entire process. My gosh, that would have taken me so much time if I was just in my own little business trying to figure that all out. I might have just got so confused or overwhelmed that I didn't do it at all, or it would have taken me weeks or months to figure it out on my own. Another reason why people buy franchises is to supplement their income or to replace their full-time income. I mean, at the end of the day, why are you starting a business? It's to make money. So originally, when we opened our first franchise, the intention was to have it as something to supplement my income and eventually build it up to where it could replace my income down the road. What we're also seeing now is a lot of entrepreneurs who have already been successful. They've already built businesses. Oftentimes they've already sold them, or those businesses are at a place where they're not running it every day. They have a team in place that's running the business. They're not spending a lot of time in the business. And what we actually often see is that either this person comes to us saying, hey, I've built the thing from scratch before. I don't want the headache of doing that all again. I like the idea of having the playbook, of having a proven model, and I feel confident that I can just execute on it and be a top performer. Another thing that we see a lot is these entrepreneurs or parents that they're actually buying these franchises for their kids. So their kids are graduating college or in their mid-20s, or maybe they're a little bit younger than that. Maybe they're like still in high school. And the intention is their parents are coming in, they're buying a franchise that their kids will work in, and the intention is to eventually pass it on to them or have their kids be owners and have a stake in the franchise with them. And ultimately, another reason why people are buying franchises is to build an asset that can one day be sold. Every entrepreneur's dream is to one day build a business that they can exit and that they can sell for a lot of money. The reality is that one of the things that's unique about franchise systems is that you can build something that can be sold, and you have all these people that are near you, other franchisees, who will often buy your business from you when it comes time to exit. All right, so before we get into the pros and cons about franchises, I do want to touch on this point, and it's something that I coined the stepping stone strategy. And here's the whole point behind it, which is you may be thinking, my dream is not to own a franchise. I actually, one day, I want to own XYZ business, right? You have this vision in your head that one day, like, you know what kind of business you want to run at some point, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just know that, I don't really want to own a franchise forever. So you use it as a stepping stone. You use it as your modern day MBA in business education to go in there and learn how to run, grow, and operate a business from a proven template. If you do that, you have a bunch of different options at that point. Number one is you can build it up and then you can sell the business and you can exit it, right? Fantastic, worked out great. You learned how to run the business, you built a successful business, then you sold that business, right? You have all of the experience from soup to nuts. The other thing that you can do is you can put a team in place, and you can have a manager or an operating partner who then runs the day-to-day of that franchise business that is now cash flowing for you, and that allows you the freedom to now go and start the business that you've always wanted to. And so I was able to use franchising as a stepping stone for myself. My vision and dream was to build a business that I could help and communicate and transform the lives of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, helping them to live their dream life. And it was my dream for a long time, as crazy as this sounds, for over 15 years to have a YouTube channel, to be able to have a platform in which to be able to make videos like this. And I was able to use franchising as my stepping stone to then build the business of my dreams that I always wanted to build. And so now that we're diving into some of the more technical pros and cons, you may be wondering, yeah, I'm overall interested in franchising. I've kind of looked into them, but it's kind of overwhelming. I mean, there's so many options out there. I start reading about it on the internet. I get confused. Well, if that's you, I've got a gift for you. I put together a PDF called the 5 low-cost franchises that make $1 million. And it's exactly as it sounds. It is a list and a detailed breakdown of 5 specific franchise opportunities that all show a documented and proven record of franchisees generating more than $1 million in sales. So if you're interested in that, you can grab it for free. It is my gift to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching and supporting this channel. You can click in the link below in order to grab that. All right, so one of the pros to buying a franchise we already talked about, and so I'm not going to hit on this too much, but is that you're buying into a proven system or brand, with the caveat if you buy the right franchise. Again, remember at the beginning of this video, I told you that 80% of franchises suck because they don't have a track record of franchisees being happy and profitable and making money. So with the assumption that you buy the right franchise, then you are buying into a proven brand where other individuals have been successful time and time again. So if they have been successful, then why can't you also be successful? That was my mindset. I will follow the playbook. I will follow the instructions. Now, what is the corresponding con to that? Well, it's that franchising requires a lot of money. So if you're someone that doesn't have much money to your name or any assets or haven't really accumulated a net worth, then it's going to be very difficult for you to get into franchise systems. Now, traditionally, most people, when they think about a franchise, they're thinking about food franchises that often cost $1 million or more to get open. Well, I just told you about the 5 low-cost franchises that all make $1 million. Most of those franchises are around $200,000 to $250,000 and less to get up and open, and depending upon how you fund that, you may only need 10 or 20% down. So if you can access basically between $20,000 and $50,000, either through home equity, through your 401k, through variety of different sources, then you can get yourself in a franchise that has documented and proven track record of franchisees generating specific amounts of sales and money. All right, so the second one is a pro and a con all at the same time, which is you need to stick to the system. So why is that a benefit? Well, it's a benefit, again, because you have that playbook. You have the system to follow. Why is that a con? Well, as you can imagine, when you have a lot of human beings who have all sorts of ideas, a lot of times people don't want to follow the system, or they think that they can do it better, or hey, I want to do it this way and you guys do it that way. And so sometimes those points may be valid, sometimes they're not valid. And what I see is that sometimes franchisees will get themselves in trouble because what they do is they get so caught up on the way that they want to do it as opposed to following the system. And then all of a sudden their business is not working because they bought into something for a system that they are now not following. Make that make sense. On the other side of it, franchisees are the number one source of new ideas and innovations within a brand, because they'll come to a franchisor and say, hey, have we thought about doing this? Have we thought about using this technology? So on and so forth. So that's another benefit really, is that franchisees are constantly bringing new innovations and ideas to the franchisor. And our brand that we were in, the franchisor would often test them out and pilot them. And if it showed that it was successful, then they'd roll it out to all the franchisees. Another one of the pros that we talked about earlier in the video was support from the franchisor and other franchisees. But the corresponding con to that for some people would be royalties, right? And people will say, why in the world would I pay 6, 7, 8% of my sales to a franchisor? I'll just go and start this business on my own. Well, again, the question is really about what level of support are you getting for the royalties that you are paying for? With a great franchise brand, you're happy to pay the royalties because you're getting the support. You're using their logos, their processes. You can call the franchisor for help. There's a reason why you have all of those things that you don't need to figure out. Think of something just as simple as a logo or a brochure or a flyer or a website. You didn't have to spend not even a single ounce of energy on those things. It's all already done for you. And so some people think, well, my business is doing $1 million, and then if my business is doing $1 million, and then I got to pay 7% royalties, that is $70,000. That's a lot of money. I'd rather save that $70,000 and do it on my own. And look, at the end of the day, there are plenty of people that are successful starting businesses on their own and figuring it all out as they go. And a lot of them, what they'll tell you is they learn from trial and error. They had a lot of failures before they figured it out. Same thing with Franchise Empire. When I started to build Franchise Empire, I didn't have a proven model or template. I made a lot of mistakes. I lost tens of thousands of dollars, probably now actually hundreds of thousands of dollars, making mistakes and trial and error building this business and this company. Whereas in my franchise system, I didn't have to go through that same learning curve. And let me say this clearly. Buying a franchise is not a mistake, but buying the wrong franchise is the biggest mistake that you can make. And at the end of the day, you drive your success. You as the individual and as the entrepreneur are the one that is fully accountable and responsible for your success in a business or in a franchise. Because no matter what franchise brands you look at, there are always high-performing franchise owners, middle-performing franchise owners, low-performing franchise owners. You can have a system and a brand where a franchise owner is doing $3 million in sales and someone failed and closed down. And at the end of the day, assuming that there are enough people who are succeeding in that franchise business, you are the variable. You are the variable. And just like most people do not reach the top in their career or in the corporate world, most entrepreneurs don't either. And so the second thing that you can do outside of choosing a great brand is leveling yourself up and becoming the best entrepreneur that you can be. So if you made it this far in the video, then the chances are is that you are very serious about buying a franchise, and this is not something that you want to leave to chance and get wrong. which is exactly why I made this video on the most common franchise buying mistakes to avoid, so that you can make sure to protect your assets, buy with confidence, and ensure that you are successful in your entrepreneurial journey. I'll see you there.